Hey, you beautiful mama. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod. I'm Brooke Jean, your host. And like always, I'm so happy and grateful that you are here. This week on the show, I got to sit down and have a really honest and eye opening conversation with my friend, Leah Remillet. Leah Remillet is basically the balance queen, okay? She is the host of the Balancing Busy podcast, an international speaker, and the balance strategist. Leah helps women do less, but better. Simply put, if you're a woman with a mission, but you worry that scaling your business means failing at home, then Leah can show you how to spread your message, make an incredible income, and do it all in less time. So let me talk to you a little bit about what we get into in this conversation. Number one, the hidden story traps that are keeping us locked in the should cycle. Number two, systems, batching, and outsourcing that don't require hiring a full team. Number three, how she repaired her relationship with time. This mindset shift alone is fire. Number four, the difference between guilt that course corrects versus shame that paralyzes. Number five, why our brains are incredibly obedient servants. And the one question that changes everything: show me the evidence I can. And number six, real talk about untangling perfectionism. Spoiler alert, it's a process, not a light switch. Here's the bottom line that we talked about in this episode. You don't need more hours. You need better systems, clearer values, and permission to let go of the stories that are killing you. This is definitely a note taker, a writer downer. I love Leah's energy. I love her mission in the world, and I love what an honest conversation we had about balance. So grab your journal, grab a pen, grab a cup of tea or whatever it is you drink, and enjoy. Hey babe, I'm Brooke Jean, licensed therapist, coach, mama, and your straight talking guide to ditching the pressure and living a life unperfected. I've coached some of the top C-suite women in America, women leading billion-dollar companies while secretly falling apart. I've been her. I blend psychology, neuroscience, and energetics with lived experience to help high-achieving women actually heal, so that they can access their infinite energy, creativity, and vitality. If you're a perfection-obsessed woman who's checked every damn box, career, family, house, 401k, but still feels low-key dead inside, you're in the right place. Here, we rip off the good girl mask, call out the BS, and build a life that actually feels like yours. We talk healing, we talk revealing, we talk rising, and we do it raw, real, and unfiltered. This is the Unperfected Pod. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Leah Remillet, thank you so much for taking time and coming to the show and having this conversation with me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Anybody that I can tell is like an ambitious working mom who is trying to crack the friggin' nut around balance or time management or energy conservation, all the things. I just know that this conversation is going to help so many mamas. So let's start with who you are and tell us about the work that you do in the world and why you stepped into that.
Absolutely. Okay, so before anything else, I am Leah and I'm very normal and I've got all kinds of things that, I do pretty great and I have some things that I totally don't and I'm still working on. I am a mother and I want to start with that because I went through a whole journey. I've been in business for a really long time. I've owned my company. I've sold companies. I've been doing this since 2009. And I remember this moment. I was actually in Bali. That's a whole different story. And I was sitting there and I was like, if I am not Leah Remillet, and I need to back up 1 minute and share with everybody that Remillet is actually my middle name. So in the business world, I am Leah Remillet. And everything in business, that's who I am. But in my life as mom and wife and community member and all those things, that's not my name. I'm Leah Stimmel. And so I remember having this moment and I was like, if I'm not Leah Remillet, then who am I? And
Mm.
instantly the thought that came to me was, I am mother. Like I am a mom. So I want to say that first because for me, that is the role that I am most proud of. Now, everybody hears that and they're like, yay, good for you. But why should we listen to you?
Yeah.
So I'll give a little bit of my credentials on that. So I am an international speaker. I have a podcast called Balancing Busy. I have been teaching women how to cut their hours without cutting their income. I've been teaching how to be able to do less but better for about 10 years of my career. So the first several years of my career, I started a company. It built really fast. I was making six figures within 18 months. I was able to build a course that brought in seven figures, like all the things where everyone would be like, oh, dang girl, like you're doing amazing.
And was that the
And it
time
was
management? Was it what was the nature of
no,
that business, babe? What was that
no.
business?
So I started as a photographer, which I love to joke is like the gateway stay-at-home mom business. Like it's like
Yes.
right, it's like
And
the
there is
gateway
nothing
business.
wrong with that. I know several
No,
badass moms that started in photography and now they're doing other stuff or they're just really freaking successful in photography. So keep going. Sorry, I
heck
won't
yes,
interrupt you
right?
anymore.
No, heck yes. So I started as photography. Now there are some who start as photographers and it's like I have had a camera in my hand since I was 3. That was not me, okay? I was like I want a business. I'm missing business. That was my background and then, I have kids and I'm like I want a business. I want something. I want the time freedom. And so I was like I stumbled on lifestyle photography. It was newer still back then. And I was like, I think I could do this. I had never taken a picture with like a professional camera, anything like that, zero training. And I just was like, I think I can figure this out. So that was my beginning. So I wasn't like an innate artist. I was an entrepreneur who was looking for the vehicle and decided that photography would be it, which then kind of shows you like, then I'm making six figures within 18 months. And it's not because of my talent. Okay, let's just be clear here. I mean, I got better, but it was like not
Don't
my
undersell
talent.
yourself, girl. I'm sure you were pretty decent. Okay.
Well, not at the beginning, not at the
Okay.
beginning, but I, yes, of course. I mean, like I worked hard to hone my craft, but I understood business. I have always intrinsically understood business. I think, in all honesty, it comes very much from my past, from my childhood. I had to know how to read a room instantly. I had to learn to understand, like, you got to know the mood, you got to know how they're doing,
Mm,
you got to know if you're safe, and through all
mm,
of that,
mm.
I just have loved studying people, understanding what gets them to say yes, what gets them to tick, what gets them to make decisions, and I got to bring that in to my work before having kids, like working for another company and getting to see these ideas and how it could change our revenue and cash flow and all these things. And then when I started my business, I did the same thing. And I was like, how do I create this experience? How do I become this like high end experience driven photographer? So, anyways, so we have the photography business to begin. I decided to start this little blog because back then blogging was like new on like the new on the it was like the new cool thing. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm going to start this little blog and I'm going to share with people how like what the information I'm finding about photography because I didn't know anything. So when I would find something about how to take better pictures, it was so exciting. So I would share it. So I have this little blog, I'm sharing about it, and people start reading it, which is awesome. And they start commenting and they're like, wait, but hold on, explain this part. And what they kept asking about was not the technical aspects of photography that I was excited about. They were asking about the business things that I was doing. So I was like, oh, well, I just did this and this. So I was teaching pricing, sales, marketing, branding, how to build the touch points and the experience, all these kind of things. And I built a course that was called The Thriving Photographer. And it was literally, I will show you my exact blueprint of how to build a six-figure photography business. And so that is the course that went on to be a seven-figure course, and it was amazing.
Wow.
So all of these things are happening,
Okay.
but behind the scenes, I am struggling. I mean, I am I am so overwhelmed. I'm so burnt out because behind the scenes, my husband is in graduate school, so he is gone all the time. He's getting his degree as a chiropractic physician, and so we have three young kids, none of which are in school yet. I am our sole provider, and I have very little help. We don't live by family because we've gone off to graduate school, so we don't live by family. I mean, I am drowning. But I'm trying to not let anything fall because I don't want to let anybody down. So
Mm.
I'm trying to just do everything. And it got to the point where I stopped sleeping, like pretty much truly stopped sleeping. So what I would do is I would take about 3 to 4 nights where I would stay up basically until my head hit the keyboard, which was usually around 5 a.m. Then my kids would
Whoa.
wake up about 7 a.m. I would pull myself out of bed. I'd try to be excellent mama for them. And then I would do this again. And I figured out that I could do 4 days, sometimes five like that. And then I had to get one night where I got at least 5 hours of sleep, and then I could start my cycle again. And so
Whoa.
this was how I was trying to just
Whoa.
be everything, right? Like I was like,
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know how to fit anything in. And I would go and I would read the things about time management and productivity and all these things. And one of the big tips that people would give was like, see what you can let go of. But there was nothing left for me to let go of. I had let go of anything frivolous, anything that was extra, right? There was nothing but trying to care for my kids, provide for my family, take care of my clients. I mean, there was nothing. And so I felt lost. I felt hopeless. And I came up with, well, I just need more hours in the day. And so I've got to sleep less. And so that obviously failed. That is not sustainable.
What was the
And
breaking point? What was the breaking point of that way of being?
so the breaking point was one day a week, I would take my kids to like a fun activity. I had the seasons pass for the zoo, for the science center. There was the forestry center, which if you happen to live in Portland, Oregon, you know what I'm talking about. So I had these memberships to everything. And every Wednesday, I would take a few hours and I would take them and we would go do this. And I will tell you, it was truly the 3 or 4 hours of the entire 168 hours in a week that I actually felt like I was a good mom because I
Mhm.
couldn't be anything but just with them. I could focus on them. I'd bring lunch, we'd have a picnic, we'd look at the animals or the science stuff or whatever it was. Well, one of those days, we're at the zoo. I have three kids. They are 4, 3, and not even walking yet.
Wow.
And we are going through the zoo. We're going into the alligator exhibit, which was my oldest, my 4-year-old. It was her favorite. And as we're walking in, everything starts to just disappear. It's all blacking out. I'm losing my vision. I'm losing my hearing. Everything is just closing in. I know I'm going to black out. I'm
Mm.
trying to get myself to a bench, to something, so that it doesn't, it's again, I'm still worried about disappointing other people, so that it's not too scary for the kids, so that like someone can help them and fix this. And when I came to, I was on a stretcher, and they were getting ready to put me into the ambulance. And I locked eyes with my 4-year-old, and her little eyes were just saucers. I mean, just so terrified, so scared. She's holding her 3-year-old sister's hand, and their mommy is being taken away, and they have no idea what's happening. And it
Mm.
was in that moment that
Mm.
I absolutely knew I will fix this or I will walk away from my business. There is no other option for me. This will never be worth it. I will fix this or I walk away. And, I knew that with every fiber in me. I also knew then how the heck am I paying the mortgage, right? I am our sole provider. But I wasn't going to risk it. And so literally even before they discharged me from the hospital, I already was making plans and trying to figure out, how I was going to do this. And so that next period after that was this journey of, if work life balance exists, I am going to find it. And ultimately, it really became a realization that this wasn't just a me problem. This was a we problem as women. As women, we are trying to juggle and be all the things. We're trying to be great moms, we're trying to be great friend, great sister, we're trying to follow our dreams, and we're trying to make time for all these things. And the reality is, it is hard. It is hard. And when I started finding the answers, when I started being able to cut back my hours, and I went from I don't know how much I worked, right? No one is keeping track when you work those kind of hours. I would guess somewhere between 90 and 110 a week. I don't know. But I got it down to 20, 25 hours a week. And I
Whoa.
lost no income, no
Whoa.
income. In fact, I was becoming more profitable.
Whoa.
And I saw this and I was like, I have to share this. Like, I have to explain. Like, and everyone's in a different position. Not everybody is like, I am 1 second away from an ambulance ride, right? Like, they just might be feeling like, gosh, every month I think I wish I had more time. Maybe next month I'll have more time, and they never get it. Or, they're just like, if I could just have a few more hours. Every single one of us as women would do better with just a little bit more in our tool belt that helps us to be more productive, that helps us to use our time better, that helps us to just go to bed and say, dang, that felt good. Like, that was a
Mm.
good day. Instead of when you go to bed and you're like, I never stopped moving, but I don't even know what I did. And
Mm.
so that's the journey. That's what shifted everything.
Wow.
As I started figuring these things out, I wanted to share them with everyone else. In 2015, it might have been 14, but one of those years, we decided to take our family and go travel the world for an entire year. And I used that year to really be my transition. That's how I found myself in Bali, where I was saying, if I'm not Leah Remillet, who would I be? And
Mm.
I realized I would be mom. And that is enough. And that's wonderful. And I still get to do, all of this too, which I love and I'm so grateful for. But now I do it in balance. And
Mm.
it's amazing. And so now, since about 2016, so the last almost 10 years, I've shifted. And my whole mission is to help women do less but better. So there you go. That's me.
Oh, so good. So good. So, how? We're going to get right on into the how. You had your moment where you're locking eyes with your girl and there's got to be a better way. What were some of the things that you have discovered were helping you reclaim some of your time back?
Yes. Okay. If you don't mind, I want to go kind of the like philosophical mindset,
Yes.
and then I want to go to the tangible, right? Because
Perfect.
I love when people give the fluff, but I'm like, give me like tactics,
And the
please, right?
why.
So
And we also want to know the why behind the what too, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yes, yes. So, okay, the first thing that I had to do is I had to repair my relationship with time. That sounds a little bit funny, but I will just tell you, me and time were not friends, okay? I
Mm.
did not talk about time with any kind of kindness. Like, time was my enemy. There was never enough of it. I felt like time was like trying to sabotage me and constantly trying to like mess with me. So, that was truly the first step. I had to look at how I spoke about time. And the way that people can relate to what I'm saying right now is, maybe if you find yourself saying things like, I'm always running late. Oh, I just run an hour behind. Oh, I'm always whatever it
I'm
might be.
never going to, here's one, I'm never going to get it all done. Or there's never going to be enough of me to go around.
Yes.
To like every mom has the I'm killing it as a mom, but I'm struggling in my business, or my business is booming, but I'm sucking as a wife or a mom. It's like something is always sacrificing. There's never going to be enough of me to go around, enough time, enough energy. That's when I hear a lot in my office.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. That was perfect. So we
Okay.
start we start really looking at and examining, how do I talk about time? Like, what's my relationship with time? I think that this is just as relevant if we were talking about money. Like, those who want
Mhm.
wealth, how do you talk about money? Well, it's the same, and people might have heard that in that context, because I feel like that's a much more common thing that we talk about. But the same thing applies to time. How do we talk about, look at, and feel about time? So I had to work to fix that. I had to work to start believing that there was enough hours for me to do all the things that mattered to me, that there was enough hours in the day for me to be able to not only accomplish those things that I need to do in my company with my clients or my team or anything else, but also for me to show up completely present as the best wife, the best mother, and all the other roles. So that took some work. And I remember, this is so silly, but I just remember having this moment where I was thinking, wait a minute, everybody has 24 hours. There isn't somebody who got a secret bonus pack of hours and they're getting ahead because they have those. The president of the United States to Oprah to, you know, the person who just built the next $1 billion company, them and we all have 24 hours. So why are they able to do what they're doing? And then I started realizing, okay, this has to be solvable. Like I've got to be able to figure this out, right? So that's kind of where it started. So then I start studying, deep dive into anything around time management. I mean, I am studying everything from the origins of McDonald's, which I find so fascinating because I love the way, even though I don't like no offense to anyone who loves McDonald's, they do have great fries, but I'm just not a McDonald's person. But I loved learning and understanding how like they were literally creating contraptions to make the exact dollop amount of ketchup on every single hamburger and mustard. And then, oh, we can combine it and do it at the same time. Like they understood how to stack processes and how to batch to get the exact same result every single time. So I was studying that. I was studying Ford and, you know, that entire process. I'm studying everything about time management, about our neuroplasticity and how we can retrain our brains. I'm studying, like, I mean, I'm just everything. And I'm taking everything and I'm putting it into my business. And I would test it and I'd be like, okay, that worked. How could I tweak? How can I adjust? Because the honest truth is, there is a very big difference between what might work in one situation. Let's say for somebody who goes to an office, they leave the house, they are in isolation, okay, which is most of traditional time management stuff, which is for maybe more of a traditionally man dominated kind of, you know, role back in the day, to us as women. What works for us, where you work, you might leave for work, you might come from work, but you come home and then it's like, you don't stop working
And
because
you're
now
still working.
it's dinner time and it's chores and it's helping with homework and it's getting them to the practices and right, like all these things.
I call that second shift. Like afternoon on is second shift.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm testing all these things. I'm trying them. I'm refining them. I'm ditching the ones that don't really serve, and I'm refining the ones that do. So there's kind of the backstory, the mindset, the philosophical. Okay,
I love it.
Now the tangible.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many different strategies, and you shift them based on what you're trying to accomplish, what season of life you're in. So many different factors, but I'll just share that some of my absolute favorites have been, number one is outsourcing. Okay. And the obvious is like you hire someone to help you, but that doesn't always have to be what outsourcing looks like. So yes, I absolutely get help. And I have had teams that range anywhere from me plus one person to me plus 12 people. Okay. Like all versions of teams. So there's that version, but there's also things like, I really want us to have family dinner. That's really important to me, but I don't want a meal plan and I don't want to think about it. So I get meal kits, and the meal kits would come to the house and, oh, there's 3 of the meals for the week. And guess what? I just happen to have 3 children and they're each in charge of making that specific, one of those specific dinners. So now I've outsourced the meal planning and the meal prep to the meal kit, and I've outsourced the cooking to each of my kids. So now 3 of the nights I know we're going to have family dinner, but I am not the one doing it, right? So there's like a tangible, like not necessarily paying to outsource, and hiring, but still getting those benefits. So whatever it looks like, I think sometimes we get locked into this one idea that outsourcing means like I'm hiring an employee, and it doesn't need to look like that at all. In fact, most of the time when I'm hiring, it is not as an employee, it's a 1099, and it's just someone who's like, they're helping and they have their own business and are helping me. So there's just so many ways that can look. So there's one. Number 2 is systems. So what I found is that the more I could create little systems. Now, these are what simplify and truly help me to do that less but better. So I would find how can I refine this thing that I do all the time and make it easier to accomplish. Very simple one that I'll share that I literally did this morning is my vitamins. Okay, so I have all these vitamins I take every day. I have a husband who is a chiropractic physician. He specializes in longevity, in helping people to when you get your labs back and they're normal and you're like, what the crap? I don't feel normal though. Like he goes way deeper and he helps identify and helps us to feel peak. So, I've got this stack of supplements that are for all my different things. And once a week, or actually I do it once every 2 weeks because I've got it for 15, but I go through, get all my supplements out, put them in their little cups, and now I know that's done. So instead of every single day, I need to pull out every bottle, pull out what I need. Once every 2 weeks, I do that, and then they're all there for 15 days. So that's like the simplest system ever, but that's a system. That is a system that helps me do less but better. Now, I also have, really big systems in my business and all kinds there. And I'll say, instead of trying to go into those, I'll just say for those who are business owners and who are like, yes, I actually would really love to see behind the scenes of how that looks in your business. I'm so happy to share that. I'm super visual. Like I can hear things, but when you show me, I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So if anybody wants to see some of those systems, you can just go to BTS, like behind the scenes, .balancingbusy.com, and you can see some of my systems. So okay, so there's systems. So we've got outsourcing, we've got systems, and then looking at things like batching. So instead of doing repetitive tasks that we do, instead of doing them when they come to our mind or just when we're thinking about them, I bring them together and I do them all at once. So we each have a podcast. I bet you do very similar to what I do. There are times where I sit down and I'm like, hey, for the next several hours, all I'm doing is writing. I'm writing out podcast ideas. I'm fleshing out what I want to talk about, all the different things. And then I have another block that's scheduled, a time block that's scheduled. And I'm like, and now I'm going to record those. And I'm trying to record multiple episodes all at once. That's a form of batching. Another form, like in my home, is that Monday is laundry day. I don't do laundry throughout the week. I'm like, on Monday, I'm going to grab all of my laundry, me and my husband's, my kids do their own. I'm going to do my laundry and it's going to take 2 loads and we're done and I've moved on for the week. So there's ways to look for these different things that we do all the time and say, okay, how do I do this in a more time effective manner? Another example would be email. We could open our inbox all through the day, right? Oh, I hear the ping, or I'm just thinking about it. I'm going to check my inbox. But each time that it can become a really big time suck, right? Like it pulls us in, maybe there's a newsletter, then you click on the links, then you follow the next links. Now all of a sudden you're online shopping. Who knows what happens, right? But like they pull us in. So I'm very cognizant of that. And I want to be really, really careful with my time. Time and I, we are besties now. And I honor time and I don't want to waste time because it is my most precious gift. So I'm like, okay, 2 times a day, I have usually kind of mid-morning. I never want to start my day with email, but mid-morning, I have a 30-minute block and I'm going through that inbox. I'm finding the ones that are important. I'm responding if I can be done in 2 minutes or less. And then I'm closing it out when that timer goes off. And then at the end of the day, when I'm at the close to the end of my workday, usually about an hour and a half before I'm going to be done, open that inbox again, set another timer for 30 minutes, get through as much else, and the rest is going to wait. Now, if I'm like, oh man, there's a lot, maybe I give myself a little bit more time. But that's an example. And I'll say really quick that in that, I just shared 3 different things that I like, that I absolutely love. Number 1, timers. I am such a fan of timers. Like it's such an easy thing to be like, I think this is going to take me this long. I'm going to set a timer and it just will help you stay focused. This is the Pomodoro technique. Number 2, I talked about time blocking. So, I block out time and say, I am setting this amount of time. I'm scheduling it into my calendar, literally email 30 minutes from 10 to 10:30. and I'm going to, work on that one thing. And then the other thing I talked about was batching. So there you go. There's some of the tangible technical things.
Yes, I love all of that. What do you say to the mom who's like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what needs a system. I don't know what needs a batch because I'm just reacting all day, every day. What would be a beautiful first step for them to kind of assess their situations and see where they could use one of these gorgeous tools that you have?
Absolutely. Okay, so the first is, first of all, this is so normal. No one's alone in this. This being in a reactive mode, it's
Mm,
kind of what our society seems to like be fueled by. And what we want to do as women is we want to make a shift and be responding in a way that feels good in our soul, right? Not reactive. Reactive tends to be a charge and flurry of emotion, where when we can be responding, there's a little more time to like take a breath, think about it. How do I want to move forward? So I want to say that first, and that this is such a great desire, right? I don't want to just always be in reactive mode, because the honest truth is it doesn't feel good. Like it
it
just doesn't
doesn't.
feel good in our bodies.
Mm-mm.
So I love this question. Now, where we need to start is we need to start with, what is most important to me? What are my core values? Because the honest truth is, for so many of us, there is so much on our agendas, on our to do lists, in our calendars that we didn't choose. They were kind of given to us, they were handed to us, whether that is by expectation, maybe that we're holding, that we believe, but I'm supposed to do this. Or maybe it is something that we're carrying because someone asked us and we're a people pleaser. Whatever the reasoning is, we need to get really, really clear on what really matters to me. And I can kind of share that in how I talked about dinner. Okay, so I said dinner is really important to me. That was one of those things where I could never seem to get it right. Like, no matter how hard I tried, it mattered to me. I wanted dinner to be this really great time as a family, but I was always falling short. I always forgot to pull something out of the freezer, or I hadn't meal planned, or I hadn't run to the grocery store because I got too deep into work and I didn't look up in time. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, the kids are home, right? Or whatever happened. Like, this was this thing that I struggled with for years, for a really long time, where I wanted us to have family dinner. I knew how important it was, and I always felt like I was falling short.
Mm.
And I finally had exactly what I'm sharing, what I'm suggesting we do. I had this moment where I really sat down and I was like, okay, Leah, what really matters here? Like, what is it that you really care about? And I knew what I care about is us sitting down together at the table as a family. Okay, so is it as important what you're eating as it is that you're eating together? And I realized and confessed, like, okay, no, it's not. But I had been holding these expectations that like I needed to make like from scratch amazing dinners, complete with pan sauce and garnish. And I'm not even like, that's not me exaggerating. Like, I actually really did feel like it needed to have all of these
Yeah.
components.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so, right. So it was like, it was making it so hard. And so I,
Mm.
I shifted and I said, what would be the simplest way to achieve my goal? And that is one of my favorite questions. What is the simplest way to achieve my goal? We are really good at getting big and, like grand in all the things we could do. And yes, we could do them, but sometimes we need to pull back and we say, what is the simplest way to accomplish this? And so I came up with a system. I'm like, okay, what could this look like? What could my system be? So I knew I wanted us to have dinner most nights of the week. One of them was going to be no dinner as a family because it's date night. So, I know we're going out. They're going to have a babysitter. And then I wanted to have one that was kind of just an easy, like, I don't have to worry about it. So I realized, okay, that means we've got 7 nights in a week. 5 of them are dinner, 2 of them are off. And I start building this system. So I've already shared part of that system was I want to teach my kids to cook. and I don't have time to do it. And I think this is a really important skill. And how can I do this? And so we did all the different meal kits over the years. I mean, we have been doing these since they were little. Like, I have the cutest picture of them when
Mm,
they are so tiny and it's their night to make dinner. And in the very beginning, I had to help, right? Like,
of
in the
course.
early years, I would say I was their sous chef. So they were the chef, I was the sous chef. They were mostly in charge. And if they asked me for help, I would, but I really tried to push and let them learn and have to do it themselves. Now it's amazing. Now my kids are grown now, but it's amazing. They are all phenomenal cooks. I mean,
Aw.
absolutely phenomenal cooks. And it was through this process. So 3 nights a week, they're cooking with the meal kits. Eventually, we even got rid of meal kits because they were just so good on their own. But for a lot of years, it was with the meal kits. It just made it really easy. 1 night a week was my husband's. He was in charge of that. Now, that was its own thing because at the beginning, I was holding on to this story that he needed to cook from scratch too. Like, well, if I have to, he should have to. And
Mm,
again, this was one of those things where I had to work through it and be like, but why, Leah? Why? And I'm like, because that's fair. And then I'm like, the whole point is you don't want to cook. Why are you trying to like keep this score? So I realized even if his
mm.
night is takeout every single week, who cares? Let it be takeout. It doesn't matter. I didn't have to cook. So now
Yes.
that's 4 nights. Okay. And that means that I am only cooking 1 to 2 nights a week. And then I really found joy in it. Like, I
Yeah.
loved it. And there's other systems where, like, if I'm cooking something that I know freezes well, I always triple it. So I have two that I can put in the freezer. I mean, like, I got all kinds of things that I do now to, make this super easy. But that's a very real system that I put in place after I untangled the stories that I was believing that actually
Mm.
weren't true and they weren't serving me. So now it looked like the kids each cook 1 night a week. And, when they were little, I helped. My husband probably brought home takeout 1 night a
Mhm.
week. I'm cooking usually one weeknight, plus I always cook Sunday nights, which I just love and really enjoy that. And then there's date night once a week. And we have what we call Fend for Yourself night. I've
Yes.
also heard it called yo yo, which I think is way cuter, but I hadn't heard that
Oh, I
until
haven't
years
heard of
into us.
yo-yo yet.
Yo-yo is you're on your own. And I just
Oh,
think it's so cute, right? Like, it's just so cute to say, like, it's
yo-yo.
yo-yo night. But, I hadn't heard that
I'm
till like,
stealing that. I'm
yeah, till
definitely
like
stealing that.
way after. So, I mean, there is like a very real in my home example of like building the system after I untangled the stories and using, like, there's outsourcing in there, right? But I'm using automations in a way, like the meal kit is an automation, the kids and the husband are a version of outsourcing. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
all these different strategies, I'm stacking them on top of each other, and it's completely changing the way
Mm,
I feel. So then for the last 8 or 10 years while my kids were at home, dinner was amazing and it felt so
mm, mm.
incredible. And it was just something so beautiful and wonderful instead of this thing that brought me a lot of guilt, um, a lot of like anger at myself and disappointment in myself and just frustration.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you highlighted a critical piece to this puzzle, a critical piece, which is the untangling of the stories that we tell ourselves around the shoulds and supposed tos.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, we call it conditioning in psychology, we have these ideas that we're supposed to make everything from scratch, that it's all supposed to be us making it, that we're supposed to sit around the table, we're supposed to have deep discussions, we're supposed to be healthy, we're supposed, and it's like, guys, if we just look into those shoulds and supposed tos, you can liberate yourself from so many unnecessary to dos because we're just doing what we were taught, but we get to decide, do I value that? And I love that you brought in the values. It's like, do I value this? Yes or no? Like, we can shed so many things off of our list just by getting right with ourselves of like, why am I doing it? And I love to guide clients to follow their like resentments, like, when you're like, I have to do this, but you don't really want to. Look at that and be like, do I actually really have to do it? Or is that a story I'm
Yes.
telling myself? Like I literally did that with turkey on Thanksgiving. Like after it's like still frozen and literally flew like a bowling ball across my kitchen floor one year, I was like, why am I doing this? I don't even like turkey, bro. But it's an untangling, isn't it? Can you talk a little bit more about that piece? Because it's so big. It's like there's this hidden pressure to keep these standards, but we have the power to decide to unsubscribe from them.
Yes, absolutely. So I did an episode about this a while back. I think it's episode 114, and it was this deep dive into modern mom life versus other generations. Because what I was trying to understand was like, okay, these expectations that we hold, which we're still trying to maintain that ideal mother picture, which I'm not gonna lie, I love. Okay, I actually love it. I'm not one of those people who's against it. I love making homemade things. I love having my
Yeah.
things from scratch. I actually love cooking and entertaining, and so I do love that. But also, I am a working woman, right? Like I'm not just doing one single thing. I'm multifaceted in the different things that I'm trying to accomplish. And so I really wanted to look at like, where does this come from in us as women? This need to feel like, to should ourselves, to feel like, but I should, I'm supposed to, and I don't want to let people down, and I don't want to feel like I'm not enough. And I think there's so much that we could look at. Certainly, there's benefits to social media, but there's also a darker side, which is comparison, which is you see everybody putting on their highlight reels and it looks so perfect and so together. And it's easy to start thinking everybody else seems to have it together. And I miss the
I'm
memo.
struggling. I'm
Yeah, like no
struggling.
one, no one's giving me the secret to how they're doing this. And the honest truth is maybe they are, but there's a high chance they're not. Right. So there's that component. There's this other component of we don't want to feel judged. We don't want to feel like other people, and I hear people say all the time, like, nobody cares about what you're doing. Nobody's looking. And I think we all try to believe that. But you know what? Sometimes they are. Okay. Sometimes they are. And sometimes you get to feel judged. And you're like, that sucked. I don't want to feel that again. I can think of
Mm.
um, treats for the kids' classes when they were little. I'm like, I am a terrible baker. Okay. I just am. Something about like my dyslexia and following a recipe in exactness, I am terrible. Now I'm gonna totally toot my own horn. This is so braggy, but I am an amazing cook. Okay. I love to cook, and I can put on and entertain for 20, 30. It doesn't even phase me. I got no problems. But if you were like, and with that, please bake chocolate chip cookies or some fancy cake, I would be like, oh no,
Yeah.
because I always do something wrong and I don't know what I did wrong. Right. So like I hate baking. But then I felt this pressure of, but you're supposed to bring in cupcakes or cookies, and I'm a better mom if they're homemade. And so here's one of those stories,
Mm.
right? So I had to
Mm.
untangle this story. Now,
Mm.
I'm going to completely admit that I didn't fully ever let go of that story. Okay, I'm just going to confess that. Like, I don't want to act like, oh, and I just let it go. And I was like, screw all of you. I'm going to bring in my crap, whatever. Okay, I didn't. I still felt some of that, but I was able to find a compromise with myself that felt good. And what that was is I went to the really expensive bakery and I bought stuff from there. And then I would feel really
Yes.
good because it was like
Yes.
really beautiful and
Yes.
fancy and fun. And like
Yes.
that was my contribution. Right. So then I was like,
Yeah.
judge me if you want, but I clearly can afford the expensive stuff. Right. Whatever. Like, so, I mean,
Oh my
that's,
God.
a little embarrassing to admit. Okay. It's a lot embarrassing to admit. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I just
It's
said that
real
actually.
though.
Like
It's
that's now
real.
for everyone to know, but that's the
It's a
truth. Like
trap. We all fall into it.
yes. But I found something that worked. And I want to
Hmm.
say that because sometimes it's a process. Okay. In the beginning, I wasn't ready to bring, just the cheap store bought cookies. Okay. Like I wasn't there yet. So I came up with a compromise. Now in my 40s, I'm going to be honest, I really wouldn't care. Here's your store-bought cookies, take them or leave them, throw them in the trash. I don't care.
Yep.
But then I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that and say, like, as we're untangling these stories, it's a process. So we might have to have kind of phases, right? Like phase one was, I'm trying to make it from scratch and it's going terrible. And I'm on my third attempt and I literally want to burn the kitchen down. Phase two was, okay, I have to come up with something else. I will try to hire someone who can bake and pretend it's me. No, I never did that, but that did cross my mind.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, really high end bakery. I'm bringing these gorgeous, insane looking desserts. Okay. And then over time, as I've gotten more and more comfortable and just, confident in my own skin and in who I am, and recognizing that by me showing up real and not trying to pretend that I can do everything, I am giving other women permission to do the same thing. And that's truly how we liberate each other and help each other. I'm, a lot more comfortable being like, yep, Oreos, because let's be honest, I think they're amazing. I love them. They are always a good idea. And
Mm-hmm.
so here you go. Here are, the simple Oreos or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
I think that we feel this double burden of, I need to be great in my career and break the ceilings and show everything that I can do, and also I want to be great in my nurture roles, right? As a mom, as a wife, as a friend, as a sister, whatever those might be. And we need to give ourselves a lot more grace and understand that this is a lot. It's a lot. And so it's okay that it's going to look really messy sometimes. And sometimes we're going to feel like we're doing it great. And sometimes we're going to feel like we're not. And that's not a time to start feeling shame. That is a time to just course correct. I believe in guilt. I don't have any problems with guilt, but I don't like shame. So in my mind, guilt is, man, I'm better than this. Like I can do better than this, right? And I like that because it helps me course correct. It helps me recognize I'm off track. Shame says I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough. I'm not enough. And so I have no room for shame. Like shame does not belong with anybody ever. But I'm okay when I'm like, okay, wait, what do I need to untangle here? What's happening? And then I can kind of course correct and fix.
I love that. And so much also, like speaking of time management, one of the things that I see we waste so much time on is the shame, the guilt, the self doubt, the questioning, the proving energy, the comparison game. It's like half of the energy that we need to do the thing we want to do is just in our heads, spinning, 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 over analyzing versus just like simplifying and playing to your strengths. And I want to say that's also what's beautiful about community. Like you might be an extraordinary baker and I might not be, but when I come to the classroom, I'm really comfortable socially with kids. And one is not more important or better than the other. And instead of trying to be all the things, why can't we allow ourselves to bring the one little piece that we know is inherent and true? And I think it's because our brains love to focus on where we're not enough. But I think part of this conversation needs to be like highlighting what we actually are, like where we are good enough. So I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, okay. I absolutely love this topic. You have no idea what you just
Okay.
opened. I love
Okay.
this topic. So I truly believe in the power of thought with every fiber in me. Now, we are predispositioned to look for danger, to look for what's wrong. And that served us a really long time ago when there was actual physical danger lurking and trying to get us. But that physical danger isn't there anymore. But our brains haven't quite caught up. So we still find ourselves where we're looking for what's wrong. We're looking for evidence all the time, evidence to show us, if we're safe, if everything's okay, if we're doing good enough, all these different things. Now, here is what I have found. Our brains are incredibly obedient, incredibly obedient. They do what we tell them to do. So if I tell my brain to go look for what's wrong, my brain looks for it. If I say, Look for why I might not be able to do this. Look for why I might fail. Look for why this may not work. My brain is going to run into the extensive file cabinets that are locked inside, that are all the different experiences that have ever happened for me. And it starts going through and it's running through those files. And it's like, oh, remember the time when you did this and you sucked. Remember the time when you did this and everybody laughed at you. Remember the time when you did this and it was a total flop. My brain will pull all of the evidence that I am asking for to prove that my thesis that I can't do this is correct. Now, on the flip side, if I say, show me why I can do this, my brain is still that incredibly obedient servant. And it goes and runs and it starts looking through the files and it says, remember the time when you were sure it wouldn't work and it did? Remember how you made this happen? Remember when you were able to totally save the day and fix the thing? And then I see that evidence and I'm able to move forward. So this comes back to some very, very extensive work that takes a lot of practice. It's going to take some time, but it's retraining the way that we think. So it's fun because it's full circle to what we began talking about, which was that the very first thing I had to do was repair the relationship that I had with time. I had to change the way that I was thinking about time. And instead of seeing time as my enemy, I needed to see time as my friend and that we were in this together. And so, when we're getting stuck in fear, in indecision, in uncertainty, in feelings, whether it's perfectionism or scrupulosity or whatever it might be, when we're stuck in those, we have the power to shift it whenever we want by saying, give me evidence that I can. And then that evidence start coming. And it might be small. It might be really small things. It's like, well, okay, I mean, like that one time. And you just take that and you run with it. And you start there and you start building up more and more evidence of what's possible, what you're capable of, and what you have accomplished.
Yes. I mean, this is important. Where you place your attention is everything, right? Because what you focus on grows and expands. What was
Yes.
the okay, what was the question that you asked? Show
Um,
me, or what was it?
Show me the evidence. So
Yes.
show me the evidence, right? Like show
Yes.
me
Show
the
me the
evidence.
evidence I can.
Yeah,
Yes.
show me the evidence I can. And what really we end up realizing is we default. I think this is just kind of like, I think this maybe comes back to like that default of looking for danger. But at least in me, I default to why should I be worried? Why might it not work? Why could this be bad? And what I've worked on over the years, and I truly have been able to retrain myself from that default of why could this be bad to why could this be amazing. And I feel like we see those platitudes, like you see the memes, you see the quote on Pinterest that's like, she thought she could and so she did. But I just saw that and I was like, okay, why not? Why not? Why not decide that, like, no, I think I can, and then build the proof that I could instead of getting stuck because you're so afraid that what if you fail? And it's like, yeah, that might happen. And you know what? If it does, you're going to learn something from it and you'll be better for it the next time. So I'm always looking for evidence. I'm asking my brain, prove to me or show me the evidence why I can. And I start thinking about and recalling these, memories, these thoughts just start showing up that are like, oh yeah, and I did that and I did that. And then I hold on to those with like a fist, right? Like I'm holding on so tight. And I try to hold on to that to be just enough to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take that first step. I'm going to move from uncertainty and inaction into action. Even if it's a really tiny baby step, I'm just making myself do something.
Oh, I love it, girl. So that was a writer downer, friends. That was a writer downer. Show me evidence that I can. Leah, I feel like we could talk for 4 days about all of these things. You are clearly have the passion for it. You clearly have the tools and the mechanisms. Where can the beautiful listeners connect with you to learn more or access some of your work? Tell us all the things.
Absolutely. Okay, so first of all, we already know that you have amazing taste in podcasts. So I would suggest that you're already on your podcast platform. You just come on over and you follow my podcast as well, which is called Balancing Busy. So do a quick search, Balancing Busy. That's going to be a great first way to connect with me. If you want to go further, like you're like, Leah, we need to be friends, then I'm like, yes, I want to be your balance bestie. So you can come to balancingbusy.com. Like I said, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, if you work and you're like, I want to see some of these systems in place, you can go to bts.balancingbusy.com. If you're like, I just need more time, like, how the heck do I give you more time? I want more of your tips. Go to time.balancingbusy.com and you will find a special gift, which is like my absolute 10 favorite time saving hacks that, if you combine them all, are about 9.3 hours a week of time that I save. So either one of those, any of those are great places to go to connect with me.
That seems like an extraordinary resource. Leah, thank you so much for taking your precious time to come and pour into this beautiful group. I appreciate you so much. And to the beautiful listener, I'm sure there was a nugget that you got in this conversation that you can put in your back pocket and weave it into your world to claim some of your precious time back. And we will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Hey, boo, if you made it this far, I know you're serious about healing, revealing, and rising, living a life unperfected. Just by showing up, you're telling the universe, I matter, I'm ready. So don't be surprised if things start shifting in your favor. If this episode moved you, do me a favor, rate and review the podcast on Apple or Spotify. It helps us reach more high-achieving, high-performing women who are ready to stop pretending and start living. And if something really landed, DM me on Instagram at BrookeJeanUnperfected or share a clip and tag me. I want to see what's moving through you. And hey, don't forget, you can watch this episode on YouTube and join my brand new VidMe membership for exclusive content, coaching, and community for only $35 a month. We're not just talking about rising, we're doing it together.